California's economy relies on tourism, immigration, technological achievements, and agriculture. Because the state is so economically powerful, this attracts a lot of people to move into the state, which drastically increases the population of the state. Many cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco used to seem like the perfect place for new individuals to move to. Currently, however, large California cities are facing issues regarding housing and the cost of living. People are no longer able to reasonably afford to live in large cities like Los Angeles and San Francisco and are forced to leave their homes. For example, in 2023, the median home cost $830,620, which meant someone must make at least $208,000 a year to afford a 30-year mortgage. That is, if they paid $5,200 a month at a fixed rate of 6.61%. For comparison, the national median cost of a house is $386,000 of the same year. With such a high price on homes, only 16% of Californians are able to afford them. In another report, under the California legislature's nonpartisan fiscal and policy advisor called California Housing Affordability Tracker, which was published on the 23rd of October 2024, the median household income is too low to qualify for a mortgage on a bottom-tier home. It is important that people understand the severity of our state's housing crisis and to know what we can do to fix it in order to help Californians have a safe place to call home. Entities like social workers under the Housing and Homelessness Program, the planning director for the City and County of San Francisco, the Los Angeles Director of Planning, and the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development are responsible for both fixing and educating on the high cost of living and housing in Los Angeles and San Francisco. This film will explain these solutions that authorities are taking or planning on taking. The Housing and Homelessness Division under the California Department of Social Services assists individuals that are at risk of or experiencing homelessness. The division has a variety of lesser programs that each do a small part to go about doing this. They provide shelters for those experiencing abuse, neglect, and financial exploitation. The HHD can help with moving costs, something many low and middle income individuals struggle to pay. The HHD's Housing Support Program also pays for temporary rent subsidies for families that need it. CalWORK's Homeless Assistance can provide payments for temporary shelter for up to 16 days, payments to secure housing, including last month's rent. The Bringing Families Home program serves homeless families involved with the child welfare system. A big part of the program also offers housing support in order to reunify families. The Housing and Disability Advocacy Program assists homeless, disabled individuals to apply for disability benefit programs while also providing housing support. The Home Safe program is intended to support the safety and stability of individuals who are experiencing or at risk of experiencing homelessness due to dependent adult abuse, neglect, or financial exploitation by providing housing assistance using practices for homeless assistance and prevention. In an interview from 2020, the planning director of the City and County of San Francisco, Rich Hillis, explains how he plans to deal with homelessness and housing production. Hillis thinks that too much housing, specifically for homeless and low-income individuals, has been financed off of taxes on new housing. He believes that a tax on new housing then restricts the affordability of this new housing, which creates an endless cycle of unaffordable housing. Instead, he suggests increasing taxes on other articles in order to provide affordable housing for those that are unable to finance it on their own. Later on in this interview, Hillis promotes a bill that allows for housing for homeless people and affordable housing to be built.
There's some great bills moving through the state. I mean, one is would allow spaces that are now zoned for commercial, primarily retail, so large malls or big box stores with parking lots to convert to housing. And I think that, coupled with kind of where retail is, could be a gold mine for the region, for housing throughout the region.
The Los Angeles Director of Planning, Vince Bertoni, along with members of the City Planning Committee, placed a couple of rules regarding affordable housing. For example, 35% of the housing to be built must be affordable. They defined affordable as a number of households that earn 60% or less than the annual median income.
You have a lot of underutilized land. That's a strip at 120 feet where we can build broad sidewalks, bike lanes, and BRT, and still have room for the cars. All of the above is totally possible in these quarters, and that's where we should focus our energy and our money.
Vince Bertoni acknowledges the need for change in the Los Angeles housing situation. He recognizes housing is unaffordable for 50% of Los Angeles residents. Despite his awareness of the issue, he warns against dramatic change because great planning efforts have negatively impacted already suffering low-income communities in the past. Thankfully, in 2016, Los Angeles voters passed Measure JJJ, which introduced transit-oriented communities. They're also called TOCs. As the name suggests, TOC's main idea is to structure communities around public transportation stations and stops. It has succeeded in bettering the city's housing crisis and stabilizing rent by increasing multi-family housing. Before Measure JJJ, cities like San Francisco tried to require a higher density population in housing in order to ensure housing affordability. TOCs have proven to be more effective than the increasing density efforts of the past. As the national leader of housing policies, the U.S. Department of Housing and Urban Development sets the expectation for smaller divisions. The Department of Housing and Urban Development provides various forms of support to prevent low-income individuals from becoming homeless. The HUD's main programs focus on ensuring affordable housing, improving housing quality, and ensuring fair housing practices. The Section 8 program offers rental assistance through small amounts of money that cover the gap between what a tenant can afford and their rent. This allows for low-income households to find housing within their budget. Public housing projects provide safe and affordable homes managed by local agencies serving millions of families nationwide. In order to do this, the Investment Partnerships Program provides funds to local agencies to develop these affordable housing units and help new house buyers. The Community Development Block Grants Program also supports cities and states to address housing needs, eliminate ghettos, and support community development. The HUD also partners with local organizations with programs like emergency shelter grants to offer short-term housing for the homeless as a way to guide them toward permanent solutions. These programs help to not only set the standard for local and state agencies, but also to support them in preventing homelessness and providing stable housing for vulnerable communities. Many California residents have learned to simply accept the high price they have to pay to just be alive. But it's important to recognize that Californians are paying a ridiculous percentage of their income. Although many organizations are working hard to fight against the increasing unaffordability, it is clear that their efforts are not enough. It's important to notice that many of the stated entities already provide an enormous amount of help through money, shelters, and laws, and yet still, so many Californians worry about losing their homes. A dramatic change is necessary to improve the depression many Californians find themselves in.